Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's lecture. Hope everyone is having a great week. And for tonight, we have a special soul with us. She's a very sweet sister, and she will be sharing with us for the next hour.
Partiendo con nosotros por la próxima hora.
And give me 1 second, Sister Matilde.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So her name is Sister Sandhya, and she is an IT professional working for a contract research organization and has been on this spiritual path for 30 plus years. So she is very experienced. She loves to connect spiritual truth with the practicality of day-to-day life. She enjoys creating workshops and retreats on various practical aspects of life as relating to the underlying spiritual principles. So here is Sister Sandhya sharing with us. Hope you enjoy it.
Good evening, everyone. It is nice to see all of you on a Thursday evening. That is, I'm sure you all had a long day, probably coming from work or taking care of things at home. So let's take a few minutes to settle in, make sure you're focusing, and then we will start our session. Yeah. So just make sure you're seated nice and straight. Anytime when you are learning, it's important to make sure your head, your neck, and your spine are all aligned. It allows for the easy flow of blood and energy, which allows us to retain any information, any knowledge that is shared with us. So if there is anything happening around you, if there are people speaking, if there are movements, just let it be. For a few moments, tell yourself, if I have taken an hour out of my day to come to this session, I want to make sure I make the best of it. We don't want our mind to be distracted between this and that. When we do that, we don't gain from either one of them. We don't get the best out of either. So for now, I want to just focus on what I'm going to hear over the next hour and see if there is anything I can take back with myself. So allow your mind to calm down. If you get thoughts about what has happened through the day, just tell yourself, I'll come back to you. I'll take care of you later. For now, just let me be. If something about an action that needs to happen in the future bothers you, making dinner, serving dinner, cleaning up, winding up for the day, just tell yourself, as soon as I finish, I will go and take care of all my activities. For now, let me not be distracted. These simple conversations with your mind allow the mind to relax, and also to focus. So now, if the mind is nowhere in the past or the future, it's right here, right with all of us. Just keep it there. No need to think too much. Just be, just relax. Feel at home. Om Shanti. So I'm just going to put you all on a gallery view so I can see every one of you. I don't want to look at myself. That doesn't help much. So welcome back. So this is your Wisdom in Action sessions, right? And I am told today's topic is living with lightness. So I thought we will explore it through a few questions. It's sometimes very easy to think through things when you ask yourself questions and find the answers for them. And it's also a very easy way to retain what has been shared. So before we talk about living with lightness, let's talk about what is lightness. And many times, what I have seen is that when you want to understand a spiritual concept, sometimes spiritual concepts can seem abstract, something that you can't put your hand on, can't grasp. I find that when you have something like that, it's very easy to figure it out, to understand, if you connect it with some physical aspect that you understand. And then you can put them in parallels and it becomes very easy to understand the spiritual perspective or the concept. So here, what is lightness? Now, if you look at a dictionary or if you look at the meaning on Google or anywhere, you will see that it is said it's a state of being light, especially in terms of weight, or it's an easiness of manner. It's an easy way of doing things, or there is not too much force. That is also called lightness. So lightness in terms of weight doesn't mean there is no weight. Everything has weight. We all know this, right? When I was young and I was in second grade, I was taught that air has weight. So everything, even if it's very subtle, has weight. So lightness doesn't mean there is no weight. There is weight, but it is light. That means it's not too much that it's a burden and I can't carry it. But it's also weight in the right place. It's of the right kind. A weight that supports me, like you have these paperweights. They're very helpful, no? Because papers fly off and paperweights are needed to keep them in place. So a weight that supports me rather than make me heavy or burdensome. That is actually what lightness means. So then let's explore to see what exactly, why is lightness important? Why is it that we are talking about living with lightness. So I find I'm definitely going to talk about the spiritual perspective. By now, you know from these lectures, right? But before we go there, let's try and understand through what we already know. When we usually talk about weight, two things that come to mind. First is bodily weight, right? We see that someone who is light is able to do many things easily. But if there is excess weight, small things that everyone else can do becomes difficult. And also the weight, you all have heard of body mass index. Everyone is now familiar with these things, right? If you have the weight in the right place or the right kind, which is if you have bone weight, you are skeletally strong. If you have muscular weight, you are muscularly strong. And these two are important weights because they help you hold your body and balance your body. So it adds capacity to you to be able to hold yourself. But if the weight is all fat or all water, no more than it should be in the body, then you kind of know it is going to cause one kind of problem or the other. This is one part we understand between what is being light and what is being heavy. There is another kind of weight we are all very familiar with. There is another place or space in which we do a lot of weighing. And I'm sure you've all had this experience, which is when we are traveling, right? And we have to pack. Many of us, we have a weighing machine specifically for that because we travel to India very often. And there is a certain amount of weight every baggage can have. And there's only so much you can take. Even if it's a little more, you'll have to pay for it. And you don't want to pay for it, right? Then you want to make sure it's of the right weight. Two things. Let us just think that we are all going on a trip, each one of us. And I can take only, let us say I can take only 15 pounds with me. I'm not allowed anything more than that. It's just my hand baggage and I'm allowed 15 pounds. And you're going for a week. Can you imagine how much thinking has to go into what I should pack in this little bag of 15 pounds, right? We all have to think through this now. So what are the things we will think about? The place I'm going to. What kind of weather is it? Right? If it's cold place, then you need accordingly. Then what kind of activities are you going to do there? Do you need a jacket? Do you need different kinds of shoes? So when this happens in front of us, we critically think, what do I want to take? What do I want to leave behind? So there are two things that come to mind, right? We don't want to take more than 15 pounds, but we also want to make sure everything I want, I have. At least the main things. There are, I'm sure, some things you can find there. But whatever I need in general, I want to make sure I have them, the important ones. Right? If you pack up and you forget some things that you need, and then you go on this trip and then you say, oh, I wish I had brought that with me. Too late, right? So it is while you are packing, you have to decide what it is I want, what is important, what I don't need. And within that weight, I have to take it. Simple. You've all had this experience, right? We're going to use the same analogy to understand the spiritual perspective. Life is a journey. We are all on a journey, right? So even on this journey, it's very important to make sure that I take with me everything that I need. All that is necessary, important, and useful. This is one side of it. And the other is, I also have to make sure I don't take anything and everything, because that will weigh me down. It's a long journey. Doesn't finish tonight, tomorrow, or in a week. I don't know how long this journey goes on. If I take too much stuff, I take everything with me, I can't move forward. It'll be too much weight, right? So today, we are going to take a little time to look at what is it that I'm carrying with me that I should not be carrying. And what is it that I should carry with myself that I have not yet packed in my life journey, right? So how do I do that? How do I check if I am carrying something that is unwanted weight, that's useless, that is not helping me, and it's actually weighing me down? How do I check myself? If it is physical baggage, it's very simple, right? You just put it on a weighing machine, you know what the allowed limit is, and you're done. But here, how do you check? This is one of the most important things. Am I light or not? Am I carrying unwanted weight? And unwanted weight is unwanted burden in my mind. It's a very simple check. And if any one of you is really serious about doing this, if you have a pen and paper, I want you to note this down. How do I check if I am traveling light or if there are burdens in my life? Very simple check. If I am light and I am not burdened, I will always be energetic, enthusiastic, inspired, and happy. These are the 4 ways to check. That means in my spiritual self, there will always be energy. I am ready to try new things. I'm ready to learn new things. I'm always inspired and I'm always happy. This is how I know I am traveling light and I'm traveling okay. If you are carrying some kind of burden, any kind of burden, that means it's going to wear you down, right? The first way you will find out is that you will not be happy. So any moment I lose my happiness, I don't feel energetic, I feel dull, very. I come from work and I have to cook dinner. I don't feel like cooking dinner. I don't feel like talking to anyone. I just want to sit, watch TV. You know, these kind of activities that happen when I am dull. I am not really up to anything. I don't feel like trying anything new. I'm not interested. I don't care. These are symptoms that there is a burden in the mind. One is physical tiredness. Physical tiredness needs physical rest. But this inner tiredness, no, I just don't feel like moving. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm not interested in anything that's happening. This is the first sign that I, the soul, am carrying a burden. So for a second now, right? It's not enough to know. I also have to check, right? So for a second, just stop everything. Step inside yourself. Just look. I, the soul, am I happy? As I am listening, am I enthusiastic to learn? Or do I feel bored? Am I inspired to try something new? Or I don't care? Am I looking forward to making changes, doing new things, trying new ways? Just check yourself. This is the way you will know. No one can tell you. And even if someone tells you, you won't listen, right? If someone says you look burdened, you'll say, oh, no, I don't look burdened. I'm perfectly all right. So this is a self check. I have to look to see what's happening inside myself. I'll tell you a little story, right? About a farmer. There was a farmer once who lost his watch. I kind of think storytelling is a beautiful way to learn because it stays back with you. You will retain it. So a farmer once lost his watch in a barn. It's full of hay, and you know how barns are, right? There is so much stuff in there. And he searches all over and he can't find it. After searching for a long time, he gives it up. When he steps out of the barn, he sees a whole lot of children playing outside. So he thinks, why don't I ask the children to search? So he calls them and he says, can you look for my watch? If you find the watch, I'll give you something. I'll give you a reward. So all the children hurry into the barn. They go look here, there. No one finds anything. And they all give up and they go away. Then one little boy comes to the farmer and he says, can you give me another chance? I would like to try again. So the farmer thinks, what have I got to lose, right? Let's see. Let's see if he finds anything. So he sends the boy into the barn and says, okay, go find it. Within a few minutes, the boy comes back with a watch and he gives it to the farmer. Now the farmer is really surprised. I looked, a whole lot of children looked. We ransacked the barn, we couldn't find a thing. What did you do? What did you do different? The boy says, I didn't do anything. I just went inside the barn and I sat on the ground and I was listening. When all the sounds stopped, I heard the ticking of the watch. When I don't talk, do you hear the ticking of my clock in the background? You do, right? Sometimes when you become silent, when you become quiet, there are many things in your inner being that you have not yet explored, not yet found, that you can find. This is how you will also find, am I carrying anything with me that I don't want? Is there any kind of burden inside of me? This is how we check our inner self. So at various times during the day, it's important to just stop doing things. We have a way of keeping ourselves busy, right? Extremely busy. But sometimes if we just stop, we don't have to always keep doing things. Just stop being so busy, and if you sit with yourself, you will hear yourself. And you will know what's going on deep inside you. This is very simple. All of us can do it. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. But it's a lost art because we haven't been doing it. We kind of always try to lose ourselves in what's around us so we don't have to think about our inner self. But it's a very simple thing. So once in a while, it's good to try that. When you go inside, you simply ask yourself, so what am I carrying with myself that I have this weight? So if you're not 100% happy, inspired, enthusiastic, you know there is something that's weighing you down, right? Many times when we think of something that's weighing us down, we think of big things. Oh, there was a big calamity, something really horrible happened in my life. And these are the things that become a burden for us. But that's not true. For many of us, big calamities haven't really happened at all. Maybe some of us, we've seen big things in life. But even then, in the context of the world, it's a very small happening. But then why is it that I feel such burden? Why am I carrying so much burden if there isn't anything big that went wrong in my life? Right? It's a good question to ask yourself. Again, I'm going to tell you a story. So you know how to do this. And you probably heard this story, but this goes really well with what we are talking about right now. There is a story about a professor of psychology who's on stage and she's talking to a whole auditorium of students. Simple, right? I'll just take something that's in front of me. You see this box of pills, right? I don't know what it weighs, but I'm sure it's pretty light. You believe that? It's pretty light. So if I hold this pill box in my hand, how heavy do you think this is? You think I have difficulty holding it? Not really, no? It's very simple. I can twirl it, twist it, change it, move it. Nothing really is difficult for me. But this little thing can become a big weight. How's that? If I hold this for a few moments, nothing happens. If I hold this, let us say I have to hold this for the next minute. All right, it'll take a little effort, but I can do it. If I have to hold it throughout the session like this, it's a bigger ask, right? It takes a little more effort. What if I had to hold it for the whole day like this? My arm would become numb, right? It would start functioning. I would start feeling pain in the arm. It would come to a point where all I can think of is when can I drop this on the floor and go away. But it's a small thing. It wasn't really much weight. Why I think this is really important in life is because this is how things happen in our life. It's not that we have all these big troubles, little things that happen in our life. We don't know how to get rid of them. Small things, someone said something, someone did something, someone didn't do something, someone didn't do something right. It doesn't take much of an effort to actually drop it right there and move on. But many a time, we don't seem to know how to drop it. And we keep it in here. Once I keep it in here, I take it inside and I retain it in here, it is something I'm going to have to carry all my life until I get rid of it. Am I right? So these little things over a long period of time. How many of you remember something someone told you when you were a teenager and you just can't get rid of it from your mind? There are people even in their 60s, they remember things that were told to them when they were babies. It's like, I was just a child. All right, it was said, done. Can I drop it and move on? For my own good, not for any other reason. But when we can't do it over a period of time, they become a burden. So this is a very important thing to remember, because burden or heaviness in life, the reason I'm not able to stay light is because I carry all these little things, and over a whole day, I've carried a whole lot, maybe about 10 pill boxes. So if you look over a week, I have 70 pill boxes, something like this. Over a month, so it keeps building up over time because we don't know how to drop them. So what I'm trying to tell you is, every day when something happens in life, it's very important at the end of the day to put an end to everything that has happened that day. How many times we've been told when we were young, right? Don't go to bed with anger, with any worries, because when you wake up, it just gets worse. You never resolve anything just by sleeping. You have to resolve it before going to bed, right? So simple things that you can get rid of, you have to do that. Don't carry them into the night and to the next day and then the next day. And after some time, we have even forgotten where it all started. We only know that we feel this burden inside of us. So anytime you feel yourself going into the past and bringing up things from there, right? It's a sign that we are carrying a burden. You know, in Hindi, which is our language, past is called bhutkal. Bhut also means past, it also means ghost, because it doesn't exist. Where does the past exist? It doesn't exist in the world. It's over, but it exists in my mind. So it is I who have to put it down, because I am the one carrying the past with me. So this is an activity we have to do on a regular basis every day. Get rid of things that have happened. If you can do it through the day, if something happens and you drop it right there, that's the greatest thing you can do for yourself. It's the greatest help you can give to yourself. But if not, at least by the end of the day. Yeah. Let's do a simple activity. If I had been in a physical space at Manhattan, I would have asked you to pair up so we can actually do this activity. But we're going to do this in a virtual way and play with me. Yeah. We're going to see what actually happens inside of us, but we're going to see it in a physical kind of way. We're going to do a simple activity. Imagine each one of you has a backpack, right? Play with me on this. Imagine you have a backpack on your shoulder, each one of you. And this activity, we're going to fill up our backpack. That's the whole idea. We're going to fill up the backpack with about 10 to 15 things that we have to carry with ourselves, right? So I'm going to say a few statements. And for every statement that I say, you have the choice of putting in your backpack one of two things. A stone that is anywhere from 1 to 5 pounds, or a colorful light feather. It's your choice which one you pick. All right? For every statement, you have to pick based on how you feel. If you feel good and light with what I say, you pick the feather. If you feel bad, if you feel sad, if you feel burdened, and you feel this is unfair, I don't like it, then you put the rock in your backpack. Ready? All right. Let me start making my statement. You have it. You have the backpack on your shoulder. You have feathers and stones in front of you. My first statement, you're very caring. You picked up what you needed. Next, you're intolerant. You're ugly. You are beautiful. You are loving. You are hateful. You are truthful. You are dishonest. I'm just doing it fast, all right? Because you got the hang of it. You're afraid. You are useless. You are an angel. You're not fit for anything. You will never succeed. You are courageous. You are amazing. Did you pick up either the feather or the weight and put it in your backpack? By now, if I am right, your backpack should be pretty heavy. Am I right? What actually happened? Which statements made you add a feather and which ones made you add a rock to your backpack? It's very simple, right? It would be the same for all of us nearly. positive statements, uplifting statements, they are feather light because they don't add a burden inside me. And then there are the negative statements, right? You're useless, you'll never succeed, you are this, you're that. These are heavy. So what happens in our life? This is our day to day. We come across many things, either others have said to us, or we are saying it to ourselves based on things that we are reminiscing on. And we are walking around with all these weights that people have given me, people have told me. And I carry all this. Oh, I'm not fit for anything. I'm good for nothing. How many of you have heard these things, right? You're ugly. Oh, this doesn't suit you at all. You don't, many things like this, right? And we carry it with ourselves. And we don't realize that it's actually bringing us down. So I have this question. Okay, people are giving me what they are giving. What will people give you? They will give you what they have. But my question is, do we have a choice? Do we have a choice? Just think for a second. Yes, we do. Right? Even when someone gives you a rock, you have a choice. You don't have a choice in what they are giving you, but you have a choice that you don't have to put it in your backpack, right? What you put in your backpack is of your choice. You don't have to do it. You can leave it to be and not carry it with yourself. This ability, this power to choose what I will take with me and what I will leave behind, whatever is given. You know, sometimes when our seniors come from London and India, we give them all these gifts, and some of them are really heavy. They have to leave it behind. They take what they can carry, and the rest is left behind. Whenever someone goes, they can take it and go. They just can't carry. In the same way, when someone's giving me something that I don't want to carry because it's not helpful, my being useless, oh, you're useless, you're not fit for anything, is that statement ever going to help me with anything? Not really, right? Take a look. Is there anything worth in that? Are they trying to tell me that there is something I can do better? If there is, take that lesson, but leave the rest behind. Toss it aside, throw it away. And remember, once you throw it away, don't go back to it again. This is the one and only way we can live in lightness. So this is an ability we all have, because there are many things, right? When you go to a shop or when you go to a buffet, there are like a million things, not a million, maybe 100 things. You don't eat everything, do you? You eat what you like to eat, what is good for you, and what you choose to eat. What would you say of someone who eats everything at a buffet? He's going to be a sick person the next day, right? It's the same thing here. We have to decide, we have to choose what it is that I want to take, what it is that I don't want to take. Right? To do this in a practical way in our life, simple things. So this is just the essence of how we can live with lightness. But some practical, simple practices that we can do in our life, which will make living life with lightness easier, no? The first thing most of us practice: start your day with freshness and enthusiasm. Every day when you get up in the morning, give yourself a little time. Why do you wait for someone else to give you a stone or a feather? Give yourself some beautiful feathers. I am a beautiful being of light. I am made in the image of God. I am peaceful. I have the energy to take care of myself. I will live with happiness. Just some positive reinforcements for ourselves. So give yourself a beautiful feather, a whole lot of beautiful feathers like the peacock has. It's ourselves, right? Give yourself anything you want. I am beautiful. My heart is beautiful because I'm made in the image of God. Start your day like this. And make sure at the end of the day, everything that has happened through the day, right? Whatever, good or bad, before going to bed, make sure you sort it out. Things that you don't want, things that are useless, things that are going to make you miserable, I would say give it to God. Tell him I came across these things and it has stayed with me. I don't want it. Give it back to him. It's a very simple exercise, but it's a very powerful exercise. Another thing about staying light, no? When you're doing one activity, focus on that. Finish it, go to the next. Don't keep going between activities, especially now with people working from home. There is this problem. We are neither doing our office work fully, neither the homework fully. It's like we are straddling between the two. Try and see if you can come up with a method. Just like when you go to work, no? Is there a way I can start something? I finish that so I don't have to think about it. It's the mind that carries the burden, no? Any task that you leave unfinished, you can't get it out of your mind. It will stay in your mind. Like, for example, if you haven't cooked lunch and it's 3 o'clock, if lunch is 12 o'clock, from 12 to 3, although you haven't cooked lunch, your mind is constantly going back, I have to cook lunch, I have to cook lunch. This causes heaviness. So where possible, make your day such that you finish one and start one. Put a proper discipline to your activities. Complete one and then go to the next. That way you don't have to think about the other one. And when you are doing an activity, give it your full attention. While you are listening to the session, don't think of what else needs to be done. When you're doing something else, when you're talking to a person, when you're talking to your child, give them your full attention. Even if it's 5 minutes, give them full attention. Because if you don't give full attention, you will half hear what they're saying. And then when you're doing something else, you will take what they're saying. Oh, what did she say? What did she ask me to do? What was she asking for? The mind is again burdened. Yeah. So don't allow the mind to keep drifting between things. Do things, complete them. That will be very helpful. As much as possible, let go of the past. It will come to your mind. It does come to our mind too. But when it does, there's a very simple thing. You don't hold it. You say, it's okay. I'll take care. You go. Oh, this happened. This should not have happened. There is no point going back into the past and saying, this should not have happened. That should not have happened. I should not have done this, right? If only this has happened. If only this had not happened. Why didn't you do it? Why didn't I do it? Why did, no, this shouldn't have happened at all. All those statements have to go. If I have already done it, I should always take it that it is for my best. It has already happened. Now what do I do? When you train your mind like that to stay in the present, then it can stay light. What makes it heavy is the fact that it keeps going back into the far past and bringing things from the past. Now everything is mixed. You're neither taking care of the present nor taking care of the past. Now, as you go into the future, you're going to carry more. You're going to carry the past and you're also going to carry what happened in the present. That is not very sensible, right? So these are some simple practices that you can do. Start your day properly, end your day properly. Whatever you're doing, give it your full attention. Do it completely and then move on to the next. If your thoughts go into the past, tell yourself it's over. Whatever, we are always taught this on a regular basis. Whatever has happened for good. It may not seem like that, but you tell yourself that. And with time, you will see that it'll make you lighter. Yeah. And don't go back. These statements, no, why didn't this happen? This shouldn't have happened. If only this had happened. Remove all those words from your dictionary that goes back into the past and tries to change the past, because it's not going to happen. So these are some simple practices that you can do in your day-to-day life that might be helpful for you to stay light. And how do you know you're light? You will feel enthusiastic. You will feel energetic. You will feel inspired to do anything new, and you'll be happy. Where there is lightness, there is joy. All right. Do any one of you have any questions, or do you actually do meditation at this time? I'm not sure. I'm looking to Brother Jose to kind of direct me.
Yes, we are now. If anybody have any question, you can open your mic yourself and ask whatever question you have. This was a wonderful lecture. We all have tools for that will last for the whole week until next Thursday. So if you have any question, please, this is the time.
Purvi?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Sure, yes.
So, one of my questions is, and I think maybe it's for everyone, but sometimes we hold on to things. And I know theoretically and even just emotionally, it's great to let it go. But sometimes even those little things, like you're right, I don't think we've had massive trauma, but even these little things in life, I just hold on to and it takes over. And I try to let it go, but sometimes I find it very difficult and almost consuming.
How do you try to let it go, Purvi? How do you do it?
By meditating, by prayer, by getting involved in other things. But I've been failing miserably, to be honest. And maybe it's just me. Maybe nobody else has this, but
Not true. You know that. If that were true, you would have a whole world of people who are happy and just you who are not, then. It's not true.
and the thing is, like, it's not lost on me. I live a good life. I am very grateful. And yet these little things, like, they bother me to know to, really they don't make sense almost.
Yeah. So my understanding and my knowledge tells me, just like food, if you have eaten something, there is a process for it to get out of your system. If you've eaten the wrong thing, if you've eaten more, whatever it is, right? It needs to get out of your system. In the same way, when you experience a certain event and you take it inside yourself, there is a process. Now you have two things happen, right? I first take it in and then I retain it inside. So what happens at different times, it comes into my memory. I recollect from what I have retained. So what we are taught, when it does come, the first thing you must realize, when something from the past comes, when I was young, my grandma used to tell me stories about ghosts. And as children, you kind of start getting scared. Oh, there are ghosts all around or something like that. So my father would teach me, the first thing you must remember, you should not be afraid of ghosts. Because if you are afraid, then they have power over you. So the first thing when something from the past comes, you should not be afraid. You have to face it. And how do you face it? You ask, like, why am I remembering this again and again? Where is it bothering me? And you have to get to the root of it. And that's what you need to remove. Like, for example, if someone had said something, if someone told me, oh, you're extremely fat or you're ugly, and I felt bad. So I'm just taking a simple, menial example. So
Right.
if this has stayed with me, and sometimes these small things stay back with you and they actually affect you in many ways. When I look back, two things I have to remember. One, this is how I talk to myself. Just because someone said you're ugly, I don't have to accept it. First thing, right? Now, many times when we say I don't accept it, we do something else that's wrong, which is we say, okay, I don't accept it. That means the person who said it is a bad person. But it's not. There are no bad people. There are just bad moments that people have, and they do the wrong things. They say the wrong things. So when I can look at it this way, and I can let them go and I say, you know what, you didn't do anything wrong. It's okay, you said it unknowingly, unwittingly. Sometimes you just blurt it out, I let you go. In the same way, just because someone said it, I don't have to believe it. I tell myself, God thinks and tells me that I am the most beautiful person. I will let that image that God is creating within me stay inside. Then I can let the old one go. So you have to rebuild your own memories. You have to change them over so they become easy and positive, and then it's easier to go. If you would store them as negative events, they won't go away. They will never go as long as there is even a little negativity in that. So you have to actually let go of the person or the incident or the situation that happened as it is something good. I may not have realized it, but it is something good. I just can't see the goodness yet. But also for your own self-image, you love how you see yourself, how God sees you, or someone else who loves you the way they see you. Allow that image to override that one. That will help you. So you'll have to sort it out. It's a process. You kind of work with yourself. That's why we kind of say you have to be in a little silent space.
Is
Look,
that how you would get rid of all of these rocks?
you know, once you find the method, it's very simple. We have a blanket statement. God says in a blanket statement, everything that has happened is good. The pandemic happened, it's good. Floods happen, everything. We don't know, we can't see it, but everything. So I love that statement to overwrite everything. The second thing he says, I am made in his image. Not just me, but each one of you. We are all made in God's image. So when I look at you or I look at myself, if I can allow this image to come and not what I have stored from the past of you or of anyone else with whom I've had an interaction that I don't like, if I can override those, then they kind of subside. And slowly over time, you will see they start receding. The reason the memories are still alive, Purvi, is because you bring them into life again and again.
And daily,
On a regular.
multiple times a day. Yes.
So when you keep bringing them to life, you're feeding them.
Okay.
If you feed them, they will become powerful and they will take over you. So we don't feed them. Every time they come up, I will look and say, no, God tells me I am made in his image. I am beautiful, I'm capable, I'm an angel. So you have to override those things with the good things that you have learned. You understand? Don't allow them. You know, there is this story, you all know this story, right? About the Indian Cherokee and his grandson. The grandfather says there are two wolves inside of me. They're constantly fighting. One is righteous one is the unrighteous one. So the grandson asks, Grandpa, which one will win? The one that you feed. So don't feed the negative. Don't feed the past. Engage yourself in creative things, important things. This is another big thing for the mind, right? You should never let it be free. The mind is like a genie. It needs constantly to be busy, involved in something. If it's not, it will eat us up. So the mind, you have to keep it busy. That's why you have to program it. You must make sure your day is full. If you keep it idle mind, you all know this, is a devil's workshop, right?
Yeah.
So that's what starts happening inside of us. So we don't let it. Give it a program, give it a plan, keep it busy. Like you say, I always distracted with other things. That's one thing. But even internally, not just physically, but even internally, give it a turn, give it a twist, take it somewhere else. And you will find that you can actually do this. And if you do one, it's enough. You found the method. And that's all you have to do over and over again, Purvi. It's like cooking, right? When I first started, I had no idea even how to make rice. How simple is that? But I didn't know. But today I can go back and say, yeah, I don't even have to think much about cooking. I can just do it with my left hand. But it came with practice.
Practice.
Same thing. So do one. It's exactly the same way you will have to take one more step until you get there.
Thank you so much, sister.
Sure.
Does anybody has any other question?
Yes, Vaishali?
Hi, Sandhya. Mr. Sandhya. I just want to ask, like what you just explained, which makes sense, but with the loved ones, when something is bothering about them, how do you make yourself understand? Because you love them more than love, like you're connected with them, so you can't go away from them. But after even asking them or making ourselves understand some situations, it doesn't go, the situation stays same. How?
You mean it's repeated?
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Yeah. How do you make yourself be at peace? Like, I'll just give you a simple example. I have a very good friend, very connected with that person, but it's just that saying, like calling during the day or sending a text, it's the simple thing, just feels connected. But it still, that person don't understand, and it just really bothers me.
So I'll tell you what we are taught, right? You can try it and see if that helps. We are taught that when you go into a conversation with someone, you don't go blank and allow them to lead the conversation. That way, what happens, whatever that person's state of mind, that's what's going to affect you. When we go into conversations, we always go prepared. And we don't stay on the phone long gossiping. We don't talk about things that are not necessary. So make your phone calls, keep in touch, go with an agenda. If these are the things you want to talk, make sure you talk about it. And then you say, all right, I have something else to take care of. I need to go. I learned this from our own senior sister because we call her quite often. She picks up our call, but she never allows us to talk for more than a certain amount of time. Okay, she'll ask you, what are the things you want done? This, and this. Once we've talked, she asks, are you okay? Everything is all right? That's it. We move on. So we have a tendency when we get into conversation to lose track. And and especially with friends, this happens. And trust me, I have the same experience too. And then there are some who kind of constantly drain because they're talking about negative things, right? So in that case, you go prepared into the conversation. Tell them what you want to tell and go prepared in the sense, if they talk about these things, how do you want to respond? That way, those conversations don't keep going into the same places that they have always been going. It's a habit. It's a human habit. You know this, right? We do the same things over and over again. So if you look at two people's conversation over a period of year, it'll be the same kind of conversation. One person will constantly be saying something and the other person will be responding in the same way. Change it around. Go prepared, especially if it's a conversation you know you're going to have, like with your spouse or your sibling or your friend. You know you're going to talk to them. Go prepared. What is it that I want to talk about? Because this is your mind and this is your time. If you don't value it, Vaishali, others will not value it. This is something I learned the difficult way. You have to look at yourself and say, my time is precious. I'm not going to allow myself to waste time on things that are not important to me. So I will give them time, but I make sure I give the exact amount of time. So I know that I am not, when the conversation is done, if I have to go back and process things inside myself, that's not a good conversation. I didn't do a good job. So I will go prepared the next time better. So you don't have those kind of conversations again and again. So in the beginning, it will take a little time for you to set the relationship dynamics because it's used to being in a certain way. They'll be surprised. They may not like it, but it's okay. You deal with it. It will come. The change will come with time. But you have to be the initiator. You can't expect it to come from the other side. It has to come from your side. So you go prepared every time to make the change, to make the difference, and it'll be okay.
I
Try it.
used to I used to think like it was my expectation. I know you shouldn't expect, but then it doesn't happen all the time. Like without expectation, you can't, like zero expectation doesn't happen, right?
Not true. You can hope.
Yeah.
Hope is
So
a positive spin on expectation. Expectation is you're rigid. This is how it has to be. That
yeah,
makes you feel bad when it doesn't happen. But hope is more fluid. You can
I
play.
was I was hoping that like staying connected this way makes me feel that we are involved in that relation. If it's
True. You have to stay connected. No one should say that I get isolated and I stop connecting with these people. You should stay connected, but you also have to know the dynamics of the relationship and what you want to give and take. You have to set the stage for that. Otherwise, it will continue the same way, and over time it actually gets worse. If
yeah, every time I have a conversation, I feel like I'm coming back, even talking the same thing.
yeah, so you set the stage and be busy, have other activities set up and say, all right, when it goes back into that, you say, I don't have time today. Let's talk about it. So come up with different creative ways. We are very creative human beings, trust me. We have a lot of things we can do differently. We just have to find out how it's done and not keep doing the same things. Try it, Vaishali. You're very creative. I'm sure you can do it.
Thank you, sister.
Sure. We're kind of going over time, so I wanted to check with Jose, brother.
Yeah. Maybe we can end the program with a minute of silence.
All right, take a moment. Let go of any thoughts, any distractions that come to mind. Even let this session let it be. I am very powerful to make a fresh start I have to let go of my past memories and any wounds from the past interactions with others. I tell myself, past is past. I can let it be in the past. I am a powerful being. I release myself from beliefs that are negative and create a fresh self-image as a child of God, as a being of perfection, as an angel. I am a powerful being. I am neither superior nor inferior to anyone in the world. We are all unique, distinct and special in our own ways. So I stay unbiased, beyond judgment. I let myself be, and I allow others to be. I am a powerful being. I set aside attachments, old habits, and I allow myself to grow. I don't confine myself to other people's expectations. I am independent. And I am unique in my role, in my activities. I don't hurt others. I don't allow others to hurt me. I am a powerful being. My future is in my hands. If the past was difficult, that does not mean the future will also be difficult. I can change my present and my future. They are in my hands. I seek joy and I walk carefree into the future. My destiny is in my hands. I create my future. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Leave
Om
all
Shanti.
the past in the
Thank
past.
you,
Go to bed
Sister
today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Come back,
Also,
sister, again.
word of reminder, these lectures are being recorded and they are being posted on Facebook and YouTube. You can go to the website, manhattanmeditationcenter.org, and find out more information about our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandhya Ben. This was wonderful. And just for everyone's information, this is a broadcast, public broadcast on YouTube and Facebook. So you can just go and search on it and you will have an access to this lecture immediately as soon as we finish this. So you're already in demand, Sandhya Ben. We have to have you back again.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you all.